The Bob Newhart Show won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is all about
The Jerk. It's all about Jim.
Yep. I'm a jerk.
I got the obvious joke out of the way.
Well,
Easily could have been said that about me.
no, I'm a jerk. Everybody knows me.
I'm a jerk for making that joke.
Yeah, we're a couple of jerks. A couple of jerks working at the jerk store.
It's such a good movie. I'm so excited for covering this. Yeah.
I love this movie. I've told you time and time again that Steve Martin is one of my first live-action human heroes.
Oh, yeah.
One of my first comedy heroes. And just the amount of time I secretly spent listening to Wild and Crazy Guy.
Yeah.
That's his album, right?
Yeah.
And the first one, too, which I forget the name of it, I wore out like 2 cassette tapes.
Oh, really?
Of Wild and Crazy Guy I listened to. I memorized it. I knew the whole thing.
Wow.
I couldn't do it in front of my parents. But that's the thing, too. It's like there wasn't that much like dirty stuff.
No.
I'll still remember probably my favorite. I'm going to just do it.
Sure.
My favorite bit from that album was he's like, so, I'm dating this girl and, she has the most amazing pussy. And, oh, come on. I'm talking about her cat. Come on. That cat was the best death I ever had. And but of course I don't do any justice to it. But it was that like turn where he takes you, rolls it back, and then makes it even worse. But in such a like innocent way.
Very charming, innocent way.
Just dopey charming. Like for such a smart guy.
Oh yeah.
He mastered stupid smart.
Oh yeah.
He was one of the first really dumb smart guys. There were a lot of dumb guys playing dumb.
Yeah.
But his dumb had so much underneath it.
Yeah.
And so much crafting to it that it was like the smartest dumb ever.
Yeah.
And I think that's what drew me to it. And I'm going to save the story for the stepdad show because it's a definite stepdad show because it deals with a stepdad. But yeah, this movie is a definite be careful what you wish for situation because I begged the old man to take me, and I got him. The only way that I got him to take me was I somehow, because this is live TV, I don't know if I taped it or what I did. I don't think we had a VCR then, but somehow I was able to show him a scene from the movie, the cat juggling scene.
Oh, yeah.
The old man hated cats back then.
Oh, yeah.
Came around later in his life.
Yeah.
Best friend was a cat. But
of course.
At that time, hated cats. So he thought that was the funniest thing he ever saw. Drunk as he was, got me in the car. We went to the movie.
Nice.
There's your teaser. Let me just say, it haunted me. That decision haunted me literally for the rest of his life.
Wow.
And most of mine.
Wow. All right.
Bing, bong, bong.
Well, take yourself back to 1979.
Yeah, baby.
In January, Black & Decker introduces the Dust Buster, a handheld spot vacuum derived from a portable, self-contained drill capable of extracting core samples from the lunar surface for NASA.
It was so weird, man. Honestly, it was so cool when you went to a house and some of these folks had the Dust Buster. You're just like, can I see it?
It was the future in your hand.
Can I try? I mean, it got so many kids to do. It was like, painting the fence in
the Karate Kid.
No.
Painting the fence.
In Mark Twain.
Oh, you're going way
Tom
back.
Sawyer, where he's like, oh, this is so much fun. You guys got to paint it. It was basically the same. Oh, give me a quarter. I'll let you use the Dust Buster. And because we were all just so fascinated. Nobody had ever seen something so cool. It was like a Star Wars robot.
Yeah. I mean, I had no idea that it was originally built for NASA.
Totally makes sense.
I mean, if you
think about it.
The Dustbuster from space.
Most technological innovations come from the space.
Yeah, I mean, they put more money into research and development on things.
Cell phones, satellite
than most
TV.
other agencies do. Yeah, they have to. GPS,
transistor
all that stuff.
radios.
Yeah.
Like everything comes from either military or space. That's why we got to fund NASA.
Yeah, totally. More money for NASA. Yeah,
I'll tell you this: we start funding going to Mars, we're gonna have food replicators in the next 15 years,
and holodecks and stuff. It'll happen.
Yeah, I'll be dead. I'm gonna miss out on all the cool stuff.
Yeah. August 9th, Raymond Washington, co-founder of the Crips, one of the largest, most notorious gangs in the United States, is killed in a drive-by shooting in Los Angeles. The killers have never been identified.
I'm going to go on a limb. I think it's the Bloods.
Probably.
I'm just going to say.
It also could have been the cops.
True that. Yeah, okay.
It's very possible.
That's true. The whole Crips and the Bloods thing, man.
Oh, I know.
That was...
Colors. Sorry.
That was a great movie. But yeah, I mean, that was a lot of like CIA propaganda. And I'm not saying there wasn't a gang problem.
There was.
But it was...
yeah.
It was exacerbated by the racist media and all that shit.
Which is why it probably was the police that killed him.
Yeah. Well,
I wouldn't be surprised.
You know, like, who killed Tupac? Who killed Biggie?
It was
Probably
all the cops. It was always the cops.
We're going to get in trouble with the cops.
December 5th, the New York State Supreme Court orders the city and state to provide shelter for homeless men in a landmark decision brought about through a class action lawsuit brought by Robert Hayes, co-founder of the Coalition for the Homeless.
What's so crazy is he had just come off of starring in Airplane.
Yes,
Robert Hayes.
yes.
And to do this, what a renaissance man.
He is. He's all about the homeless, helping the homeless.
Not the same guy?
No, it's not the same guy. It's not the same
But that, you know what's crazy is just a few years later, Ronald Reagan would get rid of all of that.
Yeah.
And more.
Yeah. It was unfortunate.
Yes, he was.
December 14th, The Jerk premieres in St. Louis.
All I need is this ashtray. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It was the perfect movie for Steve Martin. Like, there's never been more of a perfect debut movie for a comedian.
Yeah.
You know, he'd been in some other stuff, like smaller stuff.
Yeah. But I mean, this was him.
Yeah.
Like, this was all him.
Him and Carl Reiner. Yeah. And it's like, but it was, you know, you see a lot of comedians' first movies, and a lot of them are, you know, were like Saturday Night Live movies. Because that's kind of where they got their break. Or, you know, or Eddie Murphy, a great example. Trading Places, right? But that was his first?
Yes. 1982, yes.
Right.
Yes.
Which was, you know, a perfect... But it was a great introduction to Eddie Murphy because it hit all of his marks, you know? All of his comedy bits.
48 Hours might have been before that.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. They were shot around the same
81.
time.
It was around the same time. Hey, we could just go back into our archives and look at our old episodes that we don't remember anymore.
That's what it's getting old is like, people. You don't remember nothing. But... There's, you know, this one was completely on his own terms. You know, Murphy, regardless of whether it was 48 Hours or if it was Trading Places, these were amazing films written by other people that he slipped into, and they were tailor-made for his brand of comedy. They were recrafted for him.
Yes, they were rewritten for him.
But this, from soup to nuts, is Steve Martin creating the perfect vehicle for him.
It was all him. He wasn't, it's not like he just came out of nowhere. I mean, he had, we'll talk about it, but because he was huge in stand-up at this point.
Oh, no.
But it was
in Saturday Night Live.
But it was 100% like him going, hey, this is what I'm good at.
Right.
I'm going to show you.
But this, yes, he had a bunch of TV success. You know, he started as a great writer and a performer on the Smothers, and was on Saturday Night Live. Basically helped craft that show in the first couple of seasons. You know, huge stand-up, you're right. But this was his next level. This was him moving into movie. Because he could have either done movies or a TV show, basically. That's what a comedian does. You either become a movie star.
Well, back in the day, you could do all the TV you wanted, but until you made yourself in Hollywood, until you made that movie that made money, no one cared.
Yeah, because he had like TV specials too back then.
Oh, huge! Yeah.
But everybody did.
Huge.
I had like 6 TV specials in the 70s.
Yes, you and Sonny and Cher were co-headlining.
I was really talented when I was 4.
Yeah.
I had the drugs.
So
Habit 7.
Steve Martin was born in Waco, Texas in 1945.
Explains a lot.
But he was raised in Inglewood and Garden Grove in California. He didn't spend very much time in Waco.
Good. It would have warped him.
I've spent more time in Waco, I think, than he has, which is sad.
How come?
I dated somebody that was from Waco.
A wacko from Waco?
Yeah, let's not go there. His father was an aspiring actor, and seeing him as an extra gave Martin dreams of becoming a Hollywood star.
Nice.
While in high school, Martin landed his first job at Disneyland selling guidebooks. He frequented the Main Street Magic Shop, and by 1960 had mastered several magic tricks and illusions and took a paying job at the magic shop in Fantasyland.
The man has great hands.
He
Whether
does.
it's doing close-up magic or playing the banjo or making balloon animals or whatever.
Eventually, we'll talk about him doing lasso tricks in Three Amigos.
Well, the guy is so talented.
He
It
is.
makes me angry.
Yeah, he perfected his talents for magic, juggling, and creating balloon animals.
Balloon.
Martin attended Santa Ana College, taking classes in drama and English poetry. In his free time, he worked in comedy troupes and theater productions. He met a lady who convinced him to enroll at Cal State Long Beach and
met a
major
lady?
in philosophy. Yeah.
All right. Who is this lady?
I actually don't even know her name.
Lady.
He said, "Lady." Yeah. She was enough to make him almost totally change his entire career.
But not important enough
Yeah.
to have a name that people remember.
Yeah. His philosophy classes made him strongly consider becoming a professor and abandon all his dreams of becoming an actor-comedian.
He would have been a great professor, but
Sure.
he would have been interminable. You know, he would just turn snoots.
Yes.
I'm tenured now.
Yeah. Anyway, I was going to make a comment about someone we know, but I won't.
Okay.
Martin would use these classes as fodder in his stand-up act.
If you're studying geology, which is all facts, as soon as you get out of school, you forget it all. But philosophy, you remember just enough to screw you up for the rest of your life.
Yeah, that's true.
It's true. I remember in my philosophy class, one of my philosophy classes in college, I had this professor from Kentucky.
Yeah.
And he'd be teaching us, and I remember when we got to nature,
Oh.
and he'd say, all right, we're going to be studying nature. And we're like, nature? He's like, no, nature. The philosopher nature.
Oh.
And I guess that's how you say Nietzsche, but it's Nietzsche. I don't know.
Nietzsche?
Yeah.
Yeah, Nietzsche. I think that's how I use it.
Nature.
Nietzsche.
gonna
He sounds
get
like he's
on
saying nature.
Well, tell me, it was very confusing.
In 1967, Martin transferred to UCLA and switched his major back to theater. While attending college, he appeared in an episode of The Dating Game, winning a date with Dina Martin.
Yeah, that was Dean Martin in drag. It was so good. Hey, I'll take you out. Get a couple drinks.
Martin began working local clubs at night to mix notices, and at 21, he dropped out of college.
People did that.
This is around the time that I believe he started working at Knott's Berry Farm as well.
Yeah. Well, he did magic shows there.
Yeah.
And I think his performance evolution was more Knott's Berry Farm related than Disneyland related.
Well, Disneyland was just, I think that was the thing that was like, oh, hey, I can do this stuff. It's cool.
Yeah.
But I think he really got his chops at Knott's.
His chaps at Knott's.
Chops at Knott's. It's interesting because Steve Martin feels very much like a variety act performer that kind of missed his era.
Yes. Well, same thing with Martin Short.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what makes them so perfect together is they seem like vaudeville.
Right,
And vaudeville
exactly.
act that has been transplanted.
It's like you're just
know.
50 years too late.
Exactly.
Or not, because they're both very successful.
Right. But they took that energy and that kind of performative concept.
Yeah.
Performative.
Performative.
Concept. I'm making up words.
You're like William Shakespeare.
And updated it, and made it more modern.
Yeah. They
But it has that
definitely.
energy of like.
Right. That's my favorite. I've done a lot of variety show stuff, and like it is what draws me to it because it's just everything's quick and done. It's like you got 2 minutes go, and now we're moving on to the bendy person that does stuff.
And emceeing that stuff is fun because you got to keep a crowd up.
Yeah.
It's
It's so great. It's really too bad there's not more vaudeville as of right now. So in 1967, his former girlfriend, I said girlfriend,
Goilfriend.
Nina Goldblatt, a dancer on the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour, helped Martin land a writing job with the show by submitting his work to head writer Mason Williams. Williams initially paid Martin out of his own pocket.
Hey, kid. Can't officially hire you.
Yeah.
But I'm going to pay you out of my own pocket. That's how much I believe in yous.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
Your girlfriend said a lot of good stuff about you.
Along with the other writers for the show, Martin won an Emmy Award in 1969 at the age of 23.
People don't remember how groundbreaking the Smothers Brothers show was. It
Yeah.
was not just another run-of-the-mill variety show. There was a lot of political commentary.
Yeah.
It was kind of the bridge between the establishment and the anti-establishment.
Yeah.
It wasn't, completely, Vietnam War sucks. But it did have its... It was a conscientious show, and it was a lot more progressive, I would say, than other specials. And I'm going to say this again. Every time we bring up the Smothers Brothers, I have to make this note because it's one of my only true Hollywood successes.
Yep.
Is both Dick and Tommy
yeah.
separately said that I made the best gin martini in all of Los Angeles.
Nice.
And together, they're like, you said that, I said that. And it was a bit, and it was fun. I used to hang out with them.
Nice.
I love them.
Nice. That's awesome. That would have been so much fun.
It was, I'm just quick speed bump.
Sure.
I didn't bartend for very long, but I got in at the perfect time at this hotel, the Mondrian, which used to be kind of a sheesh.
Yeah.
You know, lots of celebs would come. But I was there at the time where it was like the end of an era.
Yeah.
Like Walter Matthau would come in, and you would
Yeah.
get Steve Allen, who has a theater here, would
Not
come in.
anymore.
Oh,
It got torn down.
but
Yeah.
Steve would come in and just play
Yeah.
the piano for fun.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and all of these old school Hollywood cats would come
Yeah.
in, and it was just a dream come true because as a bartender, you just like, hey, buddy, you know, you
Yeah.
don't, you're not a fan. You get to interact. I think the only time I ever really said anything was Walter Matthau because I couldn't help myself.
Right. He's great.
Oh
I
my
mean, he's
God, it was the presence of greatness.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun. It was such a great time, and Smothers Brothers were awesome.
That's awesome. So Martin also wrote for the Glenn Campbell Good Time Hour and the Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour.
Now, Glenn Campbell, on the other hand,
Not so awesome.
no, poor Glenn Campbell. He had a lot of alcohol problems.
Yeah. Martin's first television appearance was on the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour in 1968.
He only had half a gray head of hair.
Yeah, he went gray so fast.
13.
Yeah, it was so fast.
He saw a ghost at 13, and that was that. A ghost.
I just seeing him in the jerk because he was only. I mean, he would have been what 35, maybe when he
Maybe.
did the jerk.
Yeah.
34.
Yeah.
He was full head on, full
Yeah.
gray.
Oh, yeah.
Like crazy gray.
Yeah.
Or not even really gray, silver. I guess
Silver Fox.
Silver Fox. The age of 34. Yeah. Martin opened for groups such as the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, who returned the favor by appearing in his 1980 television special All Commercials.
God, there is so much nitty gritty dirt band in this story.
I know. He was very close with them.
I know, but I haven't heard the nitty gritty dirt band in so long. Nothing against the
I know.
nitty gritty dirt band, but it's just it's just such a funny name for a band.
It is weird. I had no idea they had such an impact on Steve Martin's life.
I mean, basically, they're the reason why he is who he is.
Yeah. He also opened for the Carpenters and Toto. He would continue to write, earning an Emmy nomination for his work on the Van Dyke and Company in 1976.
Must have been weird going to see Toto. And you have Steve Martin opening up. It's just an odd mix. You don't think that there'd be a lot of Steve Martin fans at the Toto concert.
Hey, Africa already.
Africa!
I mean, the idea of comedians opening for bands is weird.
Well, there's certain, I get, Jack Black opening up for the Foo Fighters or something.
Sure,
Or,
sure.
it's like that kind of
Sure, but even then, still, it's still weird to
It
me.
was a strange thing. It's not done as much as it
Not at
used to
all.
be.
Not at all.
But except maybe with Chris Rock, but not Chris Rock, but Kid Rock.
Kid Rock.
Chris Rock actually opens for Kid Rock.
Kid Rock?
Yeah,
They
It's
call them
such
the Rock Brothers.
Yes, they call it the Rock Paper Scissors Tour.
Yeah, somehow I think Chris always wins that.
I don't think he would come anywhere near
No.
the Kid.
In the mid-1970s, Martin made frequent appearances as a stand-up comedian on The Tonight Show, starring Johnny Carson,
Yes.
and on The Gong Show, HBO's On Location, The Muppet Show, and NBC's Saturday Night Live.
He was a mainstay. He was one of the first rock star stand-up comics.
Oh, yeah.
If not the first, really.
Yeah,
the guy
yeah.
that was selling out stadiums, and
Yeah.
he became a legend through his stand-up,
Oh,
and he paved the way for so many other guys to become as big as they became.
Right.
But yeah, that was the great thing is as a fan of his stand-up, he would show up on the Muppet Show, which was
Right.
one of my favorite shows, and it was just that's what you did back then.
Yeah.
you just went on whatever.
You made appearances. You made sure the public saw you all the time.
and people don't remember, or maybe they do, but Johnny Carson was the anointer. You know,
Yes,
if you went on
yes.
Johnny and killed, there's your career.
If
You
he
have
asked
a career.
you to come sit down and talk with him,
Jeez, yeah. Then boom, you were set for the next
you're
20 years.
sell out all your shows for the next year.
You're booked. Yeah, you have
Yeah.
made it. That
Yeah.
was the thing. But if Johnny snubbed you,
Ooh,
your career's done.
whoosh, down.
Boom, you
Toilet.
bomb on Johnny, baby.
Swirling around that bowl.
Oh, it's time to go get your GED.
Every time that Martin made an appearance on SNL, the audience would jump by 1 million viewers, and he was one of the show's most successful hosts.
Because he was just so much energy.
Yeah.
And his comedy was just infectious, and it was obnoxious without being obnoxious.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Dumb without being stupid.
Right.
You know,
right.
it was a contradiction. It was so much wordplay, so much, you know, the King Tut, which is just so bizarre. You know, that was huge on Saturday Night Live. And it turned into a big single. I know we're going to talk about it, but it's just like, I mean, anything this guy touched turned to gold at that time.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true. Martin has appeared on 27 SNL shows and guest hosted 16 times, second only to Alec Baldwin, who was hosted 17 times.
Well, it's time to break that record and get Stevie back on top.
Also, and I'll mention this in the next episode when we talk about Three Amigos, but he was the fastest Martin was the fastest to get to 5 times. He did it in like a year and 180 days.
The Five Timers Club.
Five Timers Club, yeah. He was the fastest.
Was he the first?
Yes. In fact, I think he was.
it Paul Simon?
Either him, no, it might have been Buck Henry. Buck Henry might have
yeah.
been 5th. But he took almost 2 years. But it just shows that Martin was just on the show constantly for like the first 2-3 years of the show.
Yeah, like I said, people think that he was a cast member because he was on so much.
And funny enough, what's his name? Little comedian or that little musician, Paul Simon. You just mentioned. Technically, he's only hosted 4 times.
Oh,
but they consider him part of the Five Timers Club because he's guested and on the show like 100 times
as a musical guest.
yeah, and just making random appearances and stuff. Yeah,
he loves being called the little guy.
Well, you know, if he was Garfunkel, he'd be the tall guy.
True that. He's like a little old lady now.
Oh, he's so talented.
He's just as cute as a button now, too.
He's
like a Yoda.
He is. On the show, Martin popularized the air quotes gesture.
That's so crazy.
Which I didn't know that.
Yeah, he came up with air quotes.
I didn't know that. I can't stop doing the air quotes.
Well, he was so funny. I mean, it was just...
Yeah.
He was so good at playing a faux a-hole.
Yeah.
He was so good at the, I'm so full of myself, and I will talk like...
He allowed people to be in on the joke.
Yeah.
And, like, understand that he was making fun of those people.
Right.
That's not me. We're talking about somebody else, but technically that is me.
But as the character, he didn't understand. What are you talking about? What are you doing?
Of course. While on the show, Martin grew close to several cast members, including Gilda Radner. On the night she died of ovarian cancer, a visibly shaken Martin hosted SNL and featured footage of himself and Radner together in a 1978 sketch.
Yeah, it was a beautiful sketch where they dance.
Yeah.
And it's like, it was one of the short films that they did in the early years, and it was so poignant. There's like 2 super poignant Saturday Night Live moments where they brought the film back. It was like Happy Feet, I think was the name of the sketch that they did, where they would dance, and then they would, because he had that whole Happy Feet bit. Oh, my feet. They're going crazy.
Can't stop.
I can't stop. I can't. And then, so they had the Happy Feet thing, which was hilarious. Mm-hmm. And then the other one was John Belushi, the film where he was the last surviving cast member.
Right.
And he's visiting the graves of all the people that died, because they were like, the joke was he was going to be the first to die, which unfortunately he was.
That's true, yeah.
But those were 2 super poignant moments. And I remember watching both of those live. Yeah. Gilda Radner one.
Yeah. In the 1970s, Martin's television appearances led to the release of comedy albums that went platinum. The track Excuse Me on his first album, Let's Get Small, in 1977, helped establish it as a national catchphrase.
Let's get small. Oh, God, I love that album so much. Well, excuse me. They're so funny. They did, on Saturday Night Live, it must have been recently, because it was about the time that Alec Baldwin was about to overtake Steve.
Oh, yeah.
And they were in the club.
Oh, yes.
And the funniest thing is Martin Short's the waiter. He doesn't really have any lines. He just brings them through.
He's just there, yeah.
And Alec Baldwin does the excuse me so well. It was absolutely hilarious. If you have a chance, check it out on YouTube. But yeah, man, it was weird because there was so much joy and energy in that album.
Yeah.
And both of these albums.
Yeah.
Nothing mean. Nothing like angry. Just this joyful fool just doing these bits that were very philosophical and very layered. It's like The Simpsons or anything that's smart dumb. You can A dummy can watch it and take it straight off the cuff.
Right.
But somebody who has a little bit of emotional intelligence
Sure.
will watch it and see the crafting and the depth and the other messages behind it.
Exactly, yeah.
And that was just, there's nobody like him.
No, he's a very brilliant writer. Very
Yes.
brilliant writer.
Yeah.
His next album, A Wild and Crazy Guy, in 1978, was an even bigger success, reaching the number 2 spot on the U.S. sales chart, selling over 1 million copies.
A comedy album. This
This
is
is just unheard of now. Yeah.
This is not on the comedy charts. This is the charts, man.
Right.
And this is like all we had were tapes and,
Right.
and 3 channels of TV.
Right.
Some books. That's it for entertainment. So, it's a big damn deal to get up that top. He was a juggernaut. He just was one of those guys that came around at the right time, had something new and appealing at a time, too. If you think about, about the time that he really got big was the end of the 70s, beginning of the 80s.
Yeah.
And his heyday is pretty much the 80s, early 90s, movie-wise. But it was also perfect for the time because that faux snobbery or condescension that he had was so just telling of what was coming with these snobby,
Right.
Right. pretentious, know-it-all, coked-out jerks in the 80s.
80s yuppies, yeah.
He was pre-dating these jerks. It was almost like these jerks listened to him and was like, no, I think I'm going to adopt this personality.
It's true. That's true. Just a Wild and Crazy Guy became another catchphrase. The album featured a character based on a series of SNL sketches in which Martin and Dan Aykroyd played the Fastrunk brothers. Your Tuck and Georgie were bumbling Czechoslovak would-be playboys.
We're two wild and crazy guys.
Hey. Yeah.
This is my brother, Georgie. Yeah, it was so...
They were great.
Oh, my God. It was... that was one of, I'm surprised they didn't make a movie out of that.
Well, it's funny because I think I'm always like to myself, I'm like, oh, yeah, they did, but it wasn't. It was that other movie with Will Ferrell and Chris Kattan, which was similar, not quite.
Not as charming and not as funny.
Not as good by any means.
A good friend of ours was in that movie. Greg Dunnigan.
Oh, yeah?
He was a blink and you miss him bartender.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that. All right. The album ends with the song King Tut, sung and written by Martin and backed by the Toot Uncommons, member of the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band.
King Tut.
I just love the play on Toot Uncommons.
Yeah. And then again, we got the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band.
Yeah. It was later released as a single, reaching number 17 on the U.S. charts in 1978 and selling over 1 million copies.
Yeah. It was
huge.
It was gigantic. It was on the album, I remember. I loved it. And then they did this... It got so big because of the Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Where he was all dressed up as King Tut.
Yeah.
They did the dance and they did the,
That
the
was
Egyptian.
on April 22nd, 1978, when he performed King Tut in SNL.
King Tut.
He's also really good at catching the
Zeitgeist.
Yes, thank you, of society, because it came out during the King Tut craze that accompanied the popular traveling exhibit of the Egyptian king's tomb artifacts.
The boy king. That's why he wrote it. I mean, because it's if you listen, it kind of talks about all that,
right?
You know, about how the boy king becomes the popular whatever.
He's more popular when he's dead.
Yeah, exactly.
Both albums won Grammys for Best Comedy Recording in 1977 and 1978, respectively.
Oh yeah.
By the end of the 1970s, Martin had acquired the kind of following normally reserved for rock stars, with his tour appearances typically occurring at sold-out arenas filled with tens of thousands of screaming fans.
Gotta be crazy, man. I mean,
yeah.
If you're a singer, you got the music. Maybe you got hopefully you got a band. Some just go out there and do their thing.
Yeah.
But they have the music and the dance and all that stuff to hide behind. I have nothing but respect for these guys like him or Kevin Hart or these guys that can just sell out a stadium.
Huge, like 30,000 people. It's like I would just poop myself.
I know, but you got like 30. And it's just you telling jokes.
That's control, man. That's amazing control.
Yeah, but it's also you have to be talented as F to be able to do that.
Yeah. Unknown to his audience, stand-up comedy was just an accident for him. His real goal was to get into film. Which is also the beauty of Steve Martin, is that he didn't really want to do stand-up. He was just kind of like, well, here it is.
I'll do it.
I guess I'm good at it.
Like it.
His first substantial film appearance was in a short titled The Absent-Minded Waiter in 1977.
That was great.
The 7-minute-long film, also featuring Buck Henry and Terry Garr, was written by and starred Martin. The film was nominated for an Academy Award as Best Short Film Live Action.
Yeah, it was shown on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
It was one of their digital shorts.
Nice.
Or not digital shorts.
At that time, not a digital short, but yeah. He made his first substantial feature film appearance in the musical Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, where he sang the Beatles' Maxwell's Silver Hammer.
Yeah, okay. I went to see that movie with my grandma.
Oh, yeah?
So that was the Bee Gees playing the Beatles.
Yes.
And it had everybody in it. Everybody.
Yes.
George Burns was in it.
Yeah.
And they all just had these little bits. And he played, I don't know, some crazy doctor. Maxwell Silverhand came down upon your head. I mean, that's exactly how he did it.
Yeah.
It was Steve Martin, And it was... We're going to cover this movie.
Yeah, we're gonna. I've literally never seen it,
And
so
I didn't... I loved it.
It's
loved it.
super weird.
Soundtrack.
Everything about
I'm
it's super
admitting
weird.
that some of my first real love of the Beatles was actually the Bee Gees doing the Beatles.
Pretending to be the Beatles. Nice.
I was like, who are these Beatles guys doing the Bee Gees songs?
Basing his film proposal on a line from his act,
"It wasn't always easy for me. I was born a poor black child."
he fleshed out his ideas into a series of notes he intended to deliver to studios.
Nice.
Martin met Carl Gottlieb while writing for the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour. He also wrote for The Bob Newhart Show, All in the Family, and The Odd Couple.
Nice.
That's a great tenure.
Yeah.
Gottlieb was also an actor, making an appearance in Robert Altman's MASH.
The original movie that the series was based on.
Correct. Gottlieb was hired as an actor to appear as Harry Meadows, the editor of a local newspaper in Jaws, which I didn't realize he was in Jaws.
Yeah.
He was hired by his friend Steven Spielberg to redraft the script, adding more dimensions to the characters, particularly humor.
Without that, Jaws isn't Jaws.
Oh, no, totally. I don't think he got any credit for this.
Well, because the best part of Jaws is the relationship between the three dudes.
Right. Unfortunately for Carl Gottlieb, his redrafts reduced his acting role of Meadows. Even though he was still in the movie, he cut himself down to like half a page.
Yeah, he was getting paid for the writing. He's like, I don't want to be greedy.
Yeah. Gottlieb and Martin worked together on the film proposal for The Jerk. In 1971, Steve Martin met Michael Elias while both were staff writers on the Pat Paulson Half a Comedy Show.
Yeah, I don't even know what any of that means.
I don't even know what that is. When Martin decided to devote himself to stand-up, he invited Elias to write material for him.
Nice.
This began a long collaboration that also included Martin's comedy albums and 2 of his network TV specials.
I was just going to say, people don't realize that a lot of comedians have writers.
Yes.
And guys that write for them.
Yes.
Especially back then. There were always joke writers.
There was always, yes.
You know, they would always be hovering around the comedy clubs, scribbling little pieces of paper, trying to sell their jokes.
You could make a living writing jokes for someone else.
Oh, yeah. And you could also fax your jokes to The Tonight Show. And they would sometimes buy them.
Yeah.
I think I might have faxed a couple of jokes to The Tonight Show back in the day. They did not buy them.
Michael Elias would go on to create the ABC sitcom Head of the Class, starring Howard Hessman.
That was a good show.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, it had the, what's his name, the big fat dumpy dude who eventually took over Nickelodeon.
Oh, right.
And then got Me Too'd hard.
Oh, boy. Yeah, he had some allegations.
He loves some feet.
Oh, man, those feet guys. You don't trust a feet guy.
Yeah.
Sorry, Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah. Having rewatched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood again, I did not realize just how many feet there were in that movie.
He loves feet, but here's the thing.
Holy God.
Oh, my God. He adores feet. Hey, look, if a feet thing, as long as you're not, like, forcing people to do your feet stuff.
Exactly.
Feet stuff's fine. I don't want to shame feet people because, everybody's got a thing.
The Head of the Class kid was doing it without them knowing.
Yes.
Gross.
He was a gross foot person.
Yes. If you want to like feet, there's
Be
people
more like
out there
Quentin
for you.
Tarantino. Just film feet for your own personal gratification. Pay people for their foot. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Public service in it. The more you know. Doo-dee-doo-doo.
Martin was friends with William McEwen, a record producer and brother to John McEwen, the banjo player for the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band.
Let me guess. The Nitty Gritty Dirt Band?
McEwen is credited with earning the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band their first recording contract with Liberty Records.
I wonder if they were like, you got to change the name.
Nope.
We're not
Nitty Gritty Dirt Band or nothing.
Nitty Gritty Dirt Band or die.
He also co-wrote 8 songs with the band. McEwen produced Martin's Wild and Crazy Guy album.
Can you remember one Nitty Gritty Dirt Band song?
Nope.
Wish it could.
I'm sure if like
Heard it.
their best song played, I would be like, oh yeah, okay, that's Nitty Gritty Dirt Band.
I'm sure. Look, I don't think that the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band has been referenced so many times, and like more than in the entire span of the last 20 years. I think we have referenced the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band.
In 1976, McEwen and Martin co-founded the Aspen Film Society, a film production company.
Awesome.
Yeah. Bill McEwen was acquainted with Paramount Pictures president David Picker and passed along his notes, which the studio read carefully.
Ew, let me put on my glasses so I can read these very carefully.
It described a series of odd jobs lead character Steve would hold in his saga, but Paramount passed on the project.
Hey guys, it's me, Bob.
Oh, Bob.
Yeah, I'm the one who passed.
Did you?
Yeah, I just, everybody calls me a jerk all the time. Mostly my kids.
So is that why
And I
you...
was like, I'm not gonna have a movie called The Jerk in my studio.
Did you think it was about you?
I kind of did.
Yeah.
I mean, strangely enough, a lot of the things that happened in The Jerk happened to me.
Were you born a small black child?
In my mind.
Poor black
I
child.
have the victimhood of one. I think so. Hey,
Bob.
rich white guys are the new black guys.
Oh, Bob.
We're the victims.
Bob, I think I hear your kids calling.
Oh, yeah, I do have kids.
Yep.
All right. Anyway, I was the guy.
Well,
I hated it. I'm the jerk that passed on the jerk.
you are the jerk.
All right.
All right, Bob.
Bob is a jerk.
So,
Get out of here, Bob.
David Picker apparently did not like Bob because he left Paramount and moved to Universal Studios around this time and brought the film along with him.
Nice.
Yeah. Martin Gottlieb and Alias developed the screenplay with the goal to provide a laugh on each page of the screenplay.
They delivered.
They did. Several bits of Martin's stand-up act were adapted to fit within the film, such as a monologue in which he emotionally exits the scene remarking,
I don't need anything
but nevertheless picking up each object he passes on his way out.
except this ashtray. I don't need any except for this paddle ball and this ashtray, but nothing else except for this chair. And this paddle ball and this ashtray, but nothing else. I'm done. And this over here, and this lamp.
so ridiculous. Martin was able to pick which director he wanted to work with and chose Carl Reiner, famous for his work on The Dick Van Dyke Show.
God, that was the best part of being homesick.
Yeah.
Was the Dick
Van
out of
Dyke
all of the reruns, that was my absolute favorite.
Nice.
I adored Dick Van Dyke. I still do to this day.
I haven't seen a lot of it.
God, it is such a smart show for the time.
Yeah.
And the trio of the writers, Maury Amsterdam and Dick Van Dyke and Rosalind Roz. God, I love her so much, and I forget her name. But it was just such a good show, and Carl Reiner was hilarious as the host of the show.
Right.
As the I forget the name of the show. It was the something show.
Yeah.
It wasn't Carl Reiner show, but it was like,
Right.
The Dale Ducky show or something. It'll come to me 2 episodes from now. But he was such an egotistical ass, and it was one of the first times ever to portray the behind the scenes writer's room situation, and also to portray the lead of a series as a complete buffoon.
Complete jerk.
Yeah.
So the duo met constantly, and the film's title grew out of their conversations.
Yeah, they kept getting in fights, and he'd be like, "You're a chick, Martin. No, you're the chick.
No, you're the chick, Carl.
Wait a minute.
Excuse me.
Light bulb."
Martin recounts in his memoir,
It needs to be something short, yet have the feeling of an epic tale, like Dostoevsky's The Idiot, but not like that. Like The Jerk.
Yeah,
baby.
The relationship worked so well, Reiner would go on to direct and co-write with Martin on Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid in 1982, The Man with Two Brains in 1983, and All of Me in 1984.
All 3 wonderful classics.
Yeah.
Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid does not get the love it deserves. That movie was so groundbreaking. It was basically film noir, and it used all old actors and cut him into the scenes.
Yeah.
That wasn't done before.
No, it was brilliant.
And it was done in such a great way, and he was so good in it, Steve Martin, playing this gumshoe. It was such a tightrope between idiocy and competence. It was it was a very great character. Man with Two Brains.
Oh, I love The Man with Two Brains.
Oh my God, one of the funniest movies
One
ever.
of my favorite comedies, yeah.
Oh God. I don't know. And then I can't even. I mean, we're definitely going to do that movie, but And then All of Me with he and Lily Tomlin.
Lily Tomlin's so good.
The physicality, the physical comedy that he pulls off in that movie, being half a woman and half a man, half Lily Tomlin and half him. It's a tour de force performance. It deserved an Oscar.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were able to do 4 amazing movies together, it's just tantamount to just how absolutely talented and how great they work together.
Definitely one of the more successful collaborators in Hollywood.
Because he got Martin's comedy.
Yeah.
Carl Reiner, they were kindred spirits when it came to comedy. Smart, dumb comedy. That's like, that was Carl's... that was his calling card. I mean, that was what Dick Van Dyke Show was, you know? And so he was the perfect fit. And even though a lot of these movies, a couple of them didn't do that great at the box office.
Yeah.
All of Me did great. I mean, that was a huge
All of Me
success.
did very well. The other two did not, unfortunately.
Because they were ahead of their time. They were hard sells. They were complicated comedies, and people are stupid. And they were, they were genre-bending comedies, and people are dumb. But they were both absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And nobody got Martin better than Carl Reiner.
Yeah, it's very true. They cast Bernadette Peters as Marie Kimball Johnson in The Jerk. Martin wrote the part of Marie with Bernadette Peters in mind.
I wonder why.
Because they had been dating since 1977.
What?
She's so beautiful in this movie.
In the dictionary, next to the word adorable,
Yes.
should be a picture of Bernadette Peters. I would not describe anyone else as adorable as she is. You just want to cover her in a blanket, give her some milk or something, and make her feel better.
Just snuggle. Yeah.
Oh my God, she is just so cute. And a balloon. The balloon. And the way she says balloon.
A balloon.
It's my balloon.
Peters has starred in musical theater, television, and film, and performed in solo concerts and released many recordings. She is a critically acclaimed Broadway performer, having received 7 nominations for Tony Awards, winning 2 plus an honorary award, and 9 Drama Desk Award nominations, winning 3.
She's a powerhouse.
That
you
is
would not,
when you are an actor.
But you wouldn't think with that little voice.
Oh, I know.
What a powerful singing voice she has. Oh, I had such a crush on her.
Oh, yeah.
Such a crush.
Yeah.
I mean, still do. Yeah. She's one of those lifers. She's one of my lifelong crushes.
She's just so gorgeous. And she's just so...
And talented.
So wonderful. Like, you just want to hang out with her.
I just want to beat the crap out of Steve Martin for breaking her heart. Not cool, Steve. You are a jerk.
4 of the Broadway cast albums on which she has starred have won Grammy Awards. Peter starred in All's Fair, a television sitcom from Norman Lear that aired 1 season on CBS from 76 to 77. The series co-starred Richard Crenna as a conservative political columnist and Peters as a liberal photographer, centering on their romantic mismatch because of age and political opinions.
Yeah, well, the age part's creeps.
Yeah, I know.
Because he was a lot older than
25 years older than her.
Maybe more than that.
And maybe even more than that, yeah.
Because this is this is pretty close to Rambo time. In a few years. So
that's true. That's true. The program also featured Michael Keaton in an early role as Lanny Wolfe.
Hey, I'm Lanny Wolfe.
Peters was nominated for a Golden Globe Award for her role in the sitcom. She made an appearance on The Muppet Show in 1977, for which she was nominated for an Emmy.
Oh yeah, there's something she sang on that show. I think we talked about it.
Yeah,
when we did the Muppet Show.
It was. She sang to the little Kermit kid, his little nephew or whatever.
Yeah, Cosmo or whatever.
Whatever his name is. Yeah, Cosmo. Robin. There you go, Robin.
Yeah. Good Lord.
Peters continues to act on Broadway, appear in films and TV, most recently on Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, garnering an Emmy nomination for her part. She's just an awards machine.
This is still the era when, as a performer, you had to be good at everything.
Yeah.
You had to be a song man, woman, dance man, woman. You had to know your comedy chops, your drama chops. You had to know everything. You had to be a multi-tier. And she was good at them all. Same with Steve.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there is a reason why they were together. They were both so talented and smart.
Yeah. Caitlin Adams was cast as Patty Bernstein, the crazy Patty who dominates him, the stunt woman, I guess.
A special purpose.
Yeah. Adams has appeared in a number of movies and guest appearances on TV shows, but is best known as an acting coach. She has coached Oscar-winning actors
Jane Fonda, Nicole Kidman, Naomi Watts, Rachel Weisz, Amy Adams,
as well as
Brad Pitt, Kate Beckinsale, Michael Douglas, Aaron Eckhart, Lily Tomlin, Taylor Schilling, Charlie Hunman, Moran Attias,
I don't know who that is.
Brad Atius, Megan Fox, Zoe Saldana, and others.
At 14, she became the youngest member of the Actor Studio and studied with her teacher and mentor Lee Strasberg until his death. She has also worked with other master teachers, including Stella Adler, Harold Clurman, Lee Grant, Gary Austin, and Ellen Burstyn.
It's so crazy. She is so tenured, and that the part she played was
So bizarre. It's just like, okay. Even more interesting, Caitlin is a founding member of the acclaimed comedy improv group, The Groundlings.
yeah.
I had no idea.
Pictures up on the
No
the theater.
idea. That's crazy. Adams is a graduate of the American Film Institute. Her TV film Wanted, A Perfect Guy, starring a very young Ben Affleck, won 2 Emmys, and she garnered a Directors Guild Award. 4 years later, Adams directed the feature film Sticky Fingers, which she co-wrote and co-produced with Melanie Mayron and co-starred Helen Slater.
Melanie Mayron from 30-something.
Yeah. In 2013, the film was screened and awarded the best comedy in the 80s that no one ever saw by the Outfest.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's funny.
Yeah, I've never seen it. I had no idea. I tried to find it. It's not available anywhere.
Yeah, it sucks. That's why
Yeah.
I miss video stores.
I know. I agree. I want to go to the rental store. They'll have it there. Somebody will have it. Or you can put on a wait list and you'll get it.
The rental store.
Yeah. The rental store.
Is that what you called it?
Yeah.
That was your... Instead of going to Blockbuster in your hometown, it was called the rental store?
It was the rental store.
Couldn't afford
Yeah.
Blockbuster?
No.
It's generic.
They thought we'd be confused because everything needs to be very specific.
Well, it's the rental store. That's where you rent things.
That's where you rent movies.
Rent your movies at the rental store.
And my chair. That.
You rented your chair
Yeah.
there?
Yeah. It's
And
a
your
rent to
friends?
own. It's a rent to own kind
Oh,
of thing.
okay.
Yeah.
Video store / furniture rental
Yeah.
store.
Yeah. Rent to own. Like you know, because I mean, what are you gonna do? You're gonna get a video that you can't watch on a TV you don't have, so you rent to own.
You sold me, baby.
Rental store. Come on, man.
They did have a lot of rent to own. You remember that?
Oh yeah,
You
that
could
was
rent-
huge back in the
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
I think there was a time when I moved out of my apartment here and moved back home to raise some money and go to Central America. And I left all my crap most of my crap up here with my old roommates. But I think they had to rent to own like a TV or something. 'cause
Oh,
I took
yeah?
my TV.
Yeah.
And it was just not cool. It was like,
no.
it was dumb.
You rent to own is a scam.
They did not get to own it.
No.
They got to rent it.
Eventually, at some point, we'll cover rent to own
Yeah.
and the weird like
Ketel.
service merchandise, all those weird things that don't
Right.
really happen anymore.
The record clubs.
Yeah, exactly. We'll do a month of that. Mabel King was cast as his mother in the movie. She's known for her role as Mabel Mama Thomas on the ABC sitcom What's Happening?
Everybody wanted her to be your mom. She was so great. And she was so great on What's Happening, which,
Yeah.
hey, with Raj, Dwayne, and Rerun. And she was so tough,
Yeah.
firm, but loving.
Loving,
Like,
yeah,
She would
yeah.
take the
Always-
shoe off
yeah.
to beat his ass, but she would always hug him. And
him a hug,
I just
yeah.
wanted her to envelop me in that warm embrace. I mean, she just had the most huggable body,
Yeah.
that bosom of just like it would envelop you and take
Sweet
care
nurturing,
of you.
yeah.
That's where I want to die. I want to be taken.
Inside Mabel King's
Yep.
bosom. All right.
Gonna be the name of my memoir. Inside Mabel King's bosom.
Put that on your epitaph.
Yes.
Well, it's not Mabel King's bosom, but it'll do.
I don't know. It's Mabel or nothing.
King is also known for portraying Evelyn, the witch, a role she originated in the stage musical The Wiz and reprised in Sidney Lumet's. Do I always say that wrong? I always want to say Lumet. Sidney Lumet's 1978 film adaptation.
Of the Wiz. Starring Michael Jackson
Yeah.
as the Scarecrow. And starring Diana Ross as Dorothy.
Dorothy, yeah.
And starring Barfy as Toto.
Barfy?
Barfy the dog.
Oh, wow.
I made that up.
You okay?
Nipsey Russell was in it.
Barfy the dog. Oh, yeah.
He was the Tin
Did he play
Man.
the Tin Man? Yeah.
And I forgot the actor that played.
Didn't Richard Pryor play The Wiz or something?
I think so.
I actually did.
think he was The
Somewhere in the
Wiz.
back of my head is itching. Yeah. King received mostly guest spots on television series, including Fantasy Island, The Jeffersons' Amazing Stories, and Tales from the Dark Side.
Nice.
Her last 2 movie roles were Scrooged in 1988 and Dead Men Don't Die in 1990, starring Elliot Gould. Unfortunately, King was diabetic, and in 1986, one of her toes was amputated as a result of the disease.
Oh my God.
It gets worse. In 1990, King suffered a stroke and entered the motion picture and television Country House and Hospital in Woodland Hills, California. In 1991, King's diabetes resulted in the amputation of her left leg.
Oh my God.
In 1994, her right leg was also amputated. She would also lose one of her arms to diabetes.
How? I mean, how?
I I don't know.
God, people don't realize what a horrifying
It's
disease this is.
Awful.
Jesus.
She would eventually succumb on November 9th, 1999 at the age of 66.
So sad.
That's just awful. I can't imagine how it's like, well, we got to take your leg. It's like, what the hell?
God, what a horrible way to. I just feel so horrible for such a wonderful woman to have to go through so much suffering.
And 9 years of that, like, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
And she was such a warm, loving person.
Yeah.
And it's just sad.
Yeah.
Absolutely sad. Yeah, diabetes, man. Get yourself checked out because it's dangerous.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, you could manage it a lot more now, but it's man, it's a silent killer.
Well, we had a friend of ours was a doctor told him he was like 24 hours from going into a diabetic coma if he hadn't had it checked out.
Well, that guy used to chug ranch.
He did.
It was not.
He did.
It was
I think he still does on his cheat days.
It's just a bucket of ranch. And then he just dunks stuff. He dunks his head in it.
I always think I eat like crap, and then I think about a couple friends of mine. I'm like, nope, I actually do pretty well.
I do not take care of myself. I should probably have diabetes.
You don't. You eat way better than you think you do.
I don't know.
Anyway. Richard Ward was cast as the father. Ward was an Actors Studio alumnus. He gained acclaim for his portrayal of Willie Loman in the 1972 production of Death of a Salesman, staged in Baltimore's Center Stage, the first African-American production of Arthur Miller's signature opus produced with the playwright's blessing.
He was awesome, and he
had
this really great voice that was really distinct.
Yeah.
And every time he was in something, he was one of those guys, too, that I was like, I love him. Every time he was in something and I noticed it, I was just like, right on, baby.
Right there. Ward would make appearances on sitcoms like Mary Hartman, All in the Family, The Jeffersons, Good Times, and Sanford and Son. In the pilot film for the cop show Starsky and Hutch, Ward played Captain Doby, though in the series itself, the role would be played by Bernie Hamilton.
Bernie Hamilton, who was also in Last Action Hero.
Ward did appear as a different character in one episode in the final series, shortly before his death due to a heart attack in 1979.
Oh.
His final film role was in 1980's Brubaker, starring Robert Redford.
Yeah.
So he did not live very much long after the jerk.
He did not look super healthy.
No, he really
in the
didn't.
jerk. I mean, he was older too. I mean,
He was.
But even so, it's sad.
No, it is. He's still taken too young. Yeah. Dick Anthony Williams was cast as Taj, one of his brothers in the movie.
Taj, he was so great.
So funny.
Taj's greatest scene is when they're reading the letter and they're talking about his special purpose.
Yeah.
And it's basically about him talking about having sex all the time. And the grandma's like, "Oh, that sounds so great." She has no idea, and he's just like, just laughing on the side. Oh God, it was.
It was brilliant how he didn't have very many lines, but every time you knew that he knew he was in on the joke. Like every time,
he was
great.
in the scene. You watch him throughout.
Yeah.
He is in it, man, and he is like reacting. It's to stand out in a small part like that is no easy thing. You can easily blend into the background because there's a lot. I mean, they had a lot of brothers and sisters.
Oh yeah.
And there's not a ton that I remember, but I fully remember him.
Oh yeah.
And he's another guy too that as this movie, I kind of fell in love with everybody.
Yeah.
And so, like, whenever he would show up, too, he was another guy that was, like, one of my...
Yeah, exactly. He began his career during his late teens as a member of Williams Brothers Quartet singing group founded in Chicago. He later moved to L.A. and began his acting career. Some of Williams' roles included Pretty Tony in The Mac in 1973, starring Mac Julian and Richard Pryor. The Limo Driver in Dog Day Afternoon in 1975.
Nice.
The Anderson Tapes in 1971, starring Sean Connery and directed by Sidney Lumet.
You've got to get me the Anderson Tapes.
The Deep in 1977, based on the Peter Benchley novel.
Oh, man. That was such a, like... The only reason why they made that is because, Peter Benchley wrote Jaws.
Right.
And, but that, again, I'm going to bring this up in case you didn't hear the other time we talked about The Deep. But I love that movie because... Nick Nolte.
Yeah.
He's like this diver, and but he never wears a wetsuit. He just wears his jeans and his dress shirt and puts on his fins and stuff, and then it's basically wash and wear. And then he gets out, and he's got his regular clothes on. But it's like he never put.
So weird. So Dick Anthony Williams would later appear as Denzel Washington's father in Mo Better Blues in 1990.
Great performance.
Yeah.
And one of my absolute favorite Spike Lee movies, and I think one of his most underrated movies.
Yeah. And he will also appear as Officer Allen in Edward Scissorhands in 1990.
He was great in that, too.
Yeah. Williams won the 1974 Drama Desk Award for his performance in What the Wine Cellars Buy, for which he was also nominated for a Tony Award, and was nominated in 1975 for both a Tony and a Drama Desk Award for his performance in Black Picture Show.
Oh.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Williams passed in 2012.
Oh, too young.
Yeah. Bill Macy was cast as Stan Fox.
Not to be confused with William H. Macy.
No, different Macy. His real name is Wolf Martin Garber.
Ruth Martin Garber.
He went with Bill Macy, I do not know.
Because Nazis.
Yeah, true. He's best known for playing Walter Findlay, the long-suffering husband of the title character of the 1970s television sitcom Maude, starring B. Arthur.
Maude, what are you doing, Maude?
The show ran for 6 seasons from 1972 to 1978.
Great show.
Strangers on the street would often call him Mr. Maude, consoling him for having such a difficult wife.
My God. Yeah. What a... Look. Maude was like one of the first kind of feminist shows.
Yeah.
Where it had a very strong... And B. Arthur was dynamite, It was such
she's phenomenal.
So great.
Phenomenal.
But it kind of rubbed some folks the wrong way.
Oh, it did. Well, anytime you're going to have someone acting like, well, she's not acting in her place.
I mean, Maude, whatever you say, Maude, I'm going to do what you say, Maude.
Yeah. Later, Macy would occasionally appear on Seinfeld as one of the residents of the Florida retirement community where Seinfeld's parents lived.
He just has such a unique look and sound to him, He's
so
just
great.
This,
yeah.
He's just this guy.
Unfortunately, Macy passed in 2019, but he lived to the age of 97.
Yeah, that's not unfortunate. That's probably a blessing at that
He's
point.
probably
He's
ready.
praying for death.
That's true.
97's a good run.
It's a good run. It's a very, very good run. Emmett Walsh was cast as the Madman.
Oh, I love him so much.
Walsh has appeared in over 200 films and television series, including small but important supporting roles in dozens of major studio features of the 70s and 80s. He starred in Blood Simple in 1984, the Coen brothers' first film for which he won an Independent Spirit Award for Best Male Lead.
He is frightening in that movie.
So good in that movie.
Yeah.
So good in that movie. He would later appear in Robert Redford's drama Ordinary People in 1980 and Ridley Scott's science fiction film Blade Runner in 1982.
My favorite is he in Raising Arizona.
Oh, yeah.
Not that mother scratcher. He lost his head.
So good.
Oh, he's such a weirdo.
He's so good. He's still acting at the age of 87 and can most recently be seen in A Little White Lie, starring Michael Shannon, Kate Hudson, Don Johnson, and Zach Braff.
Nice.
As well as a guest appearance in The Righteous Gemstones from Danny McBride.
Perfect. He's still awesome and funny, and he's still got it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That guy he's one of those character actors.
Yeah.
That lasted forever and
Still.
is just so good.
Yeah, he's so good.
And the fact that he got to star in Blood Simple, oh, baby. That is, if you haven't seen that, it's the Coen Brothers' first movie.
Yes.
And it is just dynamite.
It's proof positive of taking a character actor and giving them a good, juicy lead role that they can just run with it.
I don't know why I keep saying dynamite. I think I'm like J.J. Walker today.
Dynamite!
Dynamite, baby!
Jackie Mason makes a guest appearance as Harry Hartunian.
Jackie Mason.
Jackie Mason. His wife is played by former Playboy playmate Sharon Johansson.
My favorite thing Jackie Mason ever did, they used to have a Pink Panther animated show, if you remember.
Oh, yeah.
And they would have, it wasn't just the Pink Panther, it had some other things. And one of them was Jackie Mason playing an aardvark, the Aardvark. And he would be going after the Ent. Hey, Ent.
Oh,
hey, what are you doing, Ent?
yeah.
Oh, I'm going to get you, Ent. Hey, Ent. Oh, I'm an aardvark.
I don't think I ever put two and two together. That was Jackie Mason.
Jackie Mason. He used to do a lot of cartoon movies.
He's so great.
Oh, my God. Great stand-up comedian. He was one of the original Borscht Belt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, what about my wife? Oh.
Carl Gottlieb actually makes a guest appearance as Iron Balls McGinty.
How would you know he was Iron Balls McGinty?
Oh, he's so funny. Carl Reiner makes an appearance as himself, and his son Rob makes an uncredited appearance as the truck driver who picks up Naven.
That scene is so stupid. It is so hilarious. How far are you going? The end of the fence. Okay.
All right.
Oh, come in.
The best is the cut back to the family, and they're all just like, oh, jeez.
Wonder how Nathan's doing. Hey, Nathan, how you doing?
In shooting the film, Reiner ran a joyful set, according to Martin, with the cast and crew eating lunch together every day.
It looked like it. I mean, how could you not have fun on that movie? If you're not having fun on that movie, you have no soul.
Yeah.
Then you don't want to have fun.
Yeah, then you're just an old, tired person.
It's just, I would love to do a movie that's just gags. You know?
Yeah.
Because could you imagine being on set and just watching him do this?
Oh my God.
And
Are
trying
you
to
kidding?
keep a straight face?
It would be so hard. Yeah.
it's just his portrayal is genius. I mean, him walking around eating the corn dog with his hands in his pockets, just looking. He just nailed it, man.
He's so good.
It's just the greatest debut feature for any comedian.
Yeah. Martin's favorite moment of the film was the scene in which he and Peter sing "Tonight You Belong to Me." Martin felt the moment was touching and waited in anticipation at the film's premiere screening in St. Louis for the scene to come on. Unfortunately, much of the audience left during the scene to buy more popcorn.
Yeah, jerks. It is super sweet. It's a, you know.
It is. You see the love between them. Like, they were together for quite a while. And, it was so cute.
You could tell that the beautiful thing about this movie, and I'm so happy that they did it while they were still in love, because Bernadette Peters isn't acting when she looks at him.
No.
The look on her face is pure adoration.
Yes.
And it just seems like they're having so much fun together.
Yeah.
And it just is a great time capsule. I mean, I don't know how they ended or whatever. I hope it wasn't horrible.
I don't know.
But
I don't think so.
But it would seem like, look, I'm in a lot of movies with my exes. Mm-hmm. It's never fun to watch those movies because a lot of crazy stuff comes, or a lot of like pain and anguish comes up. But it would be nice to be in something. There's actually one ex-girlfriend that I was in something with that I would still love to watch, but I've lost all footage.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Ironing.
There were a number of scenes that were cut from the film. A scene in which Bill Murray was to have made a cameo was cut.
Aw.
Yeah. An alternate comic introduction of Marie near the train ride Navin was running at the carnival was shot. When her nephew takes off on the train, Navin rescues him, and in returning the boy to Marie, has the bill of his engineer's cap pulled down over his eyes so he cannot see the toy village that he is destroying like a lunatic.
Steve Martin?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, they saved that for One Crazy Summer. Yeah. Let Bobcat Goldthwait do that.
Yeah. Another scene that was cut featured Gaylord Sartain, the hee-haw vet, as a Texas oil millionaire who tearfully begs Navin for money to replace the cracked, dried-out leather seats on his private jet. Navin grants his request, and he gratefully states,
"Now I can fly my friends to the Super Bowl like a man and not some damn boom."
The television version features the scene in which a forlorn Navin, trying to forget Marie, spends 6 hours on the Roundup carnival ride. The boss orders the ride stopped, and Navin is removed by two carnival workers who sit him down on the ride stairs. He asks them,
"What are you looking at? Haven't you seen a man so broken he needs to spin?"
It's just so... Yep.
Sure.
The film is considered to have been a box office smash for the time, earning over $73 million domestically, making the movie the eighth highest grossing film of 1979.
An R-rated comedy.
And $100 million worldwide, having been produced on the low budget of $4 million.
Yeah.
It's huge. Christian Kubrick hailed it as one of Stanley Kubrick's favorite films of all time.
I love this. I absolutely love this, by the way. It just makes me love Stanley Kubrick even more.
He would often recite lines from the film to cast and crew on his films, and he once invited Steve Martin over so they could play chess.
Oh, my God. Could you imagine? I mean, he didn't like it enough to ever cast Steve Martin in anything, but...
Well, he tried.
Did he?
Yes. In fact, Kubrick met with him to discuss the possibility of Martin starring in a screwball comedy version of Traum Novelle, the 1926 novella. Later, Kubrick would change his approach to the material, the result of which was 1999's Eyes Wide Shut.
What?
Yeah.
That is crazy.
Steve Martin was going to be in the original version of Eyes Wide Shut.
Which was going to be a screwball comedy.
Which was a screwball comedy.
I want that one.
I
think everybody pretty much wants that one.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody loved
I can't.
Eyes Wide
It would have
Shut.
been so bizarre.
Oh, my God. It would have been Stanley Kubrick's greatest film.
Yes. Because it's the one thing, he never did any comedies. Like, the one thing he...
No.
Yeah. I mean, there was definitely comedy in his movies. Like,
Some.
Full Metal Jacket had some dark comedy in it.
Sure.
But you know,
one of the characters was named Joker. He made jokes.
It had to be funny. Yeah. The Jerk had a television film sequel, The Jerk 2, in 1984, starring Mark Blankfeld as Navin and co-starring Stacey Nelkin, executive produced by Steve Martin.
Hey, I'm the jerk too. T-O-O.
Yeah, it didn't do terribly well.
No,
and
the jerk is Steve Martin.
Yeah.
That's like, replacing The Rock
Yeah.
as The Rock.
Yeah, I don't understand it, and to be honest,
was
I
a
tried.
money grab, baby.
I really wanted to. Yeah, but it was made for TV.
Yeah, but Steve Martin was like, I I want to put
whatever.
a guest house and a new
Yeah.
pool in.
Yeah. Well, he was around that time, and we'll talk about this more next week. But around this time, he was starting to get into more producing and stuff.
Yeah.
Like he had a couple TV shows that he had been producing. So like I wouldn't, it was one of those like, yeah, hey, let's do it.
He also pivoted, and he's written some of the greatest plays ever.
Yeah, Picasso the
Picasso at the
Lapin
La Pinagile,
That was in 1993.
which
yeah.
is an amazing.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Have you seen it?
Yes.
I saw one of our friends in it.
We did it. We did it when I was in college.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's just the guy is so smart, and he is definitely an elite,
Oh yeah.
but he doesn't act like it. Like I think,
He's accessible.
but he's also curious.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
and I think he likes to entertain, and he's so smart, and he could be. Yeah, I'm a smart comedian. I'm making smart jokes, and I'm going to
he
go
could,
ahead. And
yeah,
if you don't get
yeah.
it, then you're just dumb. But he doesn't.
No.
He uses it and creates accessible things for everybody,
Right.
layered in a way that you can enjoy it if you're a dummy and enjoy it if you're a
Right.
smart guy.
Yeah.
And I started out as a dummy, and now I'm a pseudo smart guy, so I can enjoy him on different levels. No other comedian, in my opinion, is so diverse, can excel at so many different things. Excel. I mean, there's tons of
Yeah,
comedians
yeah.
that have done music careers. I'm looking at you, Eddie Murphy, and weren't the best. But he.
Sorry, now I have that song stuck in my head. Thank you.
The only one I can think of is Boogie in the Butt, Boogie in the
Party,
Butt.
it's party all the time, party all the time, party all the time.
My girl wants to.
Okay, see now, okay, all right.
GTA, baby. But he excels because he truly loves what he does.
No,
he didn't.
yes.
Steve Martin didn't need to write plays.
No,
No. Steve Martin didn't need to paint or whatever.
Right,
Steve
right.
Martin didn't need to do any of this stuff, but he does it because he is a Renaissance man.
yeah.
The guy is a juggernaut of intelligence and talent and wit, and he just seems like. I think having dinner with Steve Martin would be fascinating.
Yes.
Because not talking about him, but
Yeah.
hearing him talk about different topics,
Rapping
and
about
what
stuff,
he
yeah.
thinks about literature and what he thinks about art and what he thinks about different things. It would be just so fascinating to hear his take on stuff because he's just a fascinating guy.
Yeah. And he understands that he's intelligent, but he understands that a lot of people aren't.
Yeah. He doesn't rub your face in it.
And he makes sure that you get the joke.
You know why? Because he doesn't seem like he's insecure.
No.
Smart people or quotey quotes, people
Yeah.
who think they're smart that try to rub your face in it are super insecure.
Yeah.
And they don't really think they're smart. And that's sad. It's sad
Yeah.
for them and it's sad for us because we've got to put up with that crap.
I've worked with a number of those people in Hollywood.
God. Yeah, you and me both, man.
yeah.
There's nothing worse.
The worst thing ever, if an actor comes up to you or a director comes up to you and says, "Yes, I majored in 17th century French poetry," you run the other way as fast as you can.
Yeah. And if somebody thinks that they're the smartest person in the room, they're usually not.
Yes.
And
That's true.
Stay away from those people too, because
Yeah.
those people don't understand criticism and their ego is
horribly insecure people.
Yeah, they're just a bunch of ego and insecurity, and that's an extremely dangerous situation.
And this is they are both very secure in what they do.
Yeah.
They both get that they're like, yeah, we're good at what we do. And like we could be better, sure. But like we're good at what we do and we're gonna do it. I have confidence.
Martin Short, like me, loves to tease.
Yeah.
And he is so good at it.
Yeah.
And he does it in a way where you thank him. And that's the greatest
Right.
way of teasing.
Right.
Like, I tease. I grew up with a bully. But I always tell people, if I'm really nice to you, it probably means I don't like you.
Yeah,
If I tease
yeah.
you, the more I tease you, the more I like you, which is, that's a horrible thing to say. But it's never like mean teasing.
You are literally the jerk.
I am the jerk. But that's the thing. It's like Martin Short is so good. And
Yeah.
Like that's why I love him and Conan O'Brien together because
Yeah.
it's just these throwaway backhanded compliments that he does that are just so ridiculously awesome. And the way that Conan reacts to it is ridiculously awesome. And watching Steve Martin and Martin Short now doing interviews and stuff, it's just gold.
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's not
Yeah.
them getting up there and talking about all the tragedies that they've had in their
Right.
lives with Oprah. It's just them ribbing on each other, ripping the host, talking about how Steve can't. Steve, he's saying that you. And then Steve Martin pretends like he's addled. They work so perfectly together.
They're so good.
And we don't have that so much anymore.
No,
man.
no.
I miss the Abbott and Costellos.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
miss the Laurel and Hardys.
Yeah,
It's like there used to be the Smothers Brothers. There used to be this great comedy teams.
Yeah.
But they're just also old school.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like what it's history.
Right.
These guys, they were in their heyday in the 70s and 80s. Young guys working their way up, breaking ground, doing stuff nobody's done. Martin Short doing some of the greatest character work ever. Steve
Yeah.
Martin doing some of the best stand-up ever.
Yeah.
Both of them breaking grounds in their respective industries. And
Very
then
true.
them finally coming together. And even though they're from different worlds,
Yeah.
the world of sketch and improv,
Yeah.
but Steve was still sketch with Saturday
Yeah.
Night Live.
Yeah.
But it's just somehow the chemistry between these two, whether it's Three Amigos, or whether it's the Father of the Bride movies,
Yeah.
or Only Murders in the Building,
Yeah.
whatever they're playing, they complement each other.
Oh, yeah. so
Whether
well.
they're adversaries or friends or whatever it
Yeah.
is, they play off each other in a way that it's just so natural that it upsets me that it's just so good, And I know it takes years and
Yeah,
whatever, but there
yeah.
also has to be some sort of chemistry and connection.
They definitely clicked right away, which we will talk about next week when we cover Three Amigos.
Oh.
I'm super excited. This whole month is really exciting because we're able to talk about each of them in like sections of their lives.
yeah.
Like I'm excited to catch up with them and see where they're at when they finally get to the Three Amigos.
Right.
And then after when we do Early Murders in the Building and all this, because all of Martin's theater stuff didn't happen until like the 90s.
Yeah.
And he was casted waiting for Godot,
Yeah.
and then he just was like, "I'm doing theater now."
Right, and then he also worked with Mamet, and
Yeah.
he was trying different
So many-
things,
oh, so
and
good.
it's like when we were talking about Fatal Attraction
Mm-hmm.
and how he was mentioned as one of the guys, I think that would have accelerated
Yeah,
his career. It would have been a different 90s for him,
Yeah.
because I think it wouldn't
Yeah.
have just been screwball comedies. I think he would have been doing comedy and drama,
Right.
Because I think he would have nailed that in a way.
yeah,
And it would have been an uphill battle because people, were not going to want to see him in that role. But
Yeah.
he would have nailed
yeah.
it.
Well, we'll talk about that more next week because he did early on try to do drama and it
Pennies from Heaven.
failed horribly. Yeah.
Yeah. But that was also, it wasn't that it was a bad movie.
No, it was. I think it was a conflagration of different things. Yeah.
It was him trying to kind of force something on us
Yeah.
that we didn't
It
necessarily
was
want to see.
It was too early in his career to do
right.
that. Yeah.
The exact same parallel is Bill Murray in The Razor's Edge.
Yeah. Yeah.
He went that way too early.
You gotta take a page from Tom Hanks, do all the crazy stuff until you get into like your late 30s, and then start doing dramas.
Then start.
Yeah, and then
Taking
do
over.
Philadelphia and win an Oscar.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, we'll be back next week. Super excited to talk about Three Amigos. Haven't seen that in a long time.
Be careful, because you might just be kicking somebody named Iron Balls McGinty, and it's going to hurt your foot. All right, then.
All right,
Way to end it. Good way to end
good
it.
job. Nice work.
All right. We'll see you next week.
Apparently, we're the next comedy duo.
Oh, that's so sad. The Jerk 2. And
Yeah.
it was like the number 2.
Yeah. No, it was just T.O.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I totally. Fuck. That was dumb. All right. Let me try that again. I'm the Jerk 2. We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming. Benson, already in progress.